Hi, I'm Steve Gilliland. I'm from North Carolina, and I have been a professional speaker for now 20 years. Story I'd like to share actually happened 20 years ago when I was a young speaker. I was invited to speak at an event. I had met the gentleman that owned the construction company, and he had said, we'd really like to have you for our employee engagement day. And I said, great. Now, here again, this is 20 years ago. I'm young. I go down there, and when I got there, he had warned me, and again, this is the owner, had warned me about an employee. Now, this was a person in leadership, person who had supervised, was a project manager, done a lot for his company. And he just simply said, he's a little rough around the edges. He's got a little bit of an attitude problem. So I thought, no big deal. And he said, we're not going to start until he gets here. And I thought that was bizarre. I thought, if we're supposed to start at 9, we should start at 9. Well, anyways, he said, and I'm going to warn you. He said, don't let him get under your skin. Just don't let this guy, and of course, if you know me, I do a presentation called Hide Your Goat. So basically he was saying, don't let him get your goat. Well, when this guy arrived, I will never forget, this guy was about 6'5". This guy was just, he looked like he had a chip in his shoulder. And when he got down to me and he got down to where the owner was standing, the owner said, hey, Brian, this is our speaker. And he went like this to me. And when he went like that, walked in the room, that was it. I got into the room, I get introduced like this. The owner actually says in the introduction, he said, I know it's your day off. Now there's 400 or 500 construction workers there. He said, I know it's your day off. I know you don't want to be here. And I'm in the back thinking, yeah, hey, thanks for reminding them. And he said, but don't you dare do to this year's speaker what you did to the guy last year. And all I keep thinking is, what in the world did I get myself into here? Now I'm a young speaker, but I'm not that hungry. Well, anyways, I got to the end of this presentation and I wanted to make a point on appreciation. I want to make a point on gratitude, because I do believe that gratitude is, the cherry on the sundae of life. So I thought, I'm going to make this point on gratitude. And I asked people in the audience, I said, how many are married? How many have a significant other? I'm trying to ask the question to get to where I want to go. And all of a sudden, this Brian just went like this in the front. He went like that. And I asked, how many years have been married? He said 19. Well, fast forward, what I told him was, I said, what I want you to do is before Monday, I want you to ask yourself, remind yourself what it is that got you into construction, what it is that was that passion, that fire in the belly. And I said, but before you do that, go home tonight, find the woman you've described, your wife, and I said, give her a kiss in the cheek and tell her you love her. Then when you go to bed, I said, I want you to do something odd. I said, I want you to smell the sheets. And when I said, smell the sheets, he kind of looked at me and I said, ask yourself, if you didn't do it, who did it? And when's the last time you actually told somebody who did it how much you appreciated it? So I looked at him and I said, are you going to do it? And in front of all of his peers, he's chewing snuff and he goes, you're bizarre. Well, when he said that, everybody started laughing, and I thought it was over, right? So great day, great presentation. I'm leaving, and all of a sudden, I hear this guy holler, hey, speaker man. Batman, Spider-Man's speaker man. So I walked up to him, and he said to me, thanks. And I said, you're welcome. And he said, and I want to apologize. And I said, for what? And he said, for the remark. He said, but you have to understand. He said, you talked a lot about attitude, and he said, at the end, when you said about coming back to work on Monday, he said, let me tell you something. He goes, for the last 10 months, I have become everything that I despise. I'm the attitude, being the person that complains. But he said, that's not why I stopped you. He said, when I go home tonight, and he started to tear up, and he said, if I would ever lose what I have because I didn't appreciate it, he said, I wouldn't want to wake up the next day. And I said, what are you going to do? And he said, well, one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to do no linen sniffing this weekend. And I said, oh, okay. And we talked a little bit, and he said, 3 days after that event, I got an email, and the email still hangs in my office 20 years later, from Brian, who said not only did he kiss his wife on the cheek and tell her he loved her, but when he went to bed, he inadvertently pulled the sheets up and could smell them. And he told me, he said, I could smell all the foo-foo she had sprinkled on him. And I said, that's not foo-foo, it's downy. He said, well, whatever it was, he said, man, I had a little mini speaker man on my shoulder going, tell her, tell her, tell her. He said, I leaned over and I kissed her on the cheek and I told her in bed how much I appreciated it. He said, next morning, 5:30, I'm up. She's already up and I'm thinking, where's she at? She's in the laundry room. She's actually putting laundry into the washing machine. And as she's putting it in, I said, are you all right? And she turned and she was crying. I said, Lisa, are you okay? And she said, Brian, these are happy tears. She said, for 19 years of my marriage, I've done the laundry because I thought I had to. Today's the first day I did it because I want to. And I've told leaders all over the world, if you want to know if you're a leader, just ask yourself, are they following you because they want to, or do they follow you because they have to?